The Lost Keys of Freemasonry by Manly Palmer Hall. Introduction. Masonry constitutes, in essence, a religious order. The majority of its legends and allegories possess a sacred character. A significant portion of Masonry is intricately interlaced with the fabric of Christianity. We have become accustomed to regarding our own faith as the sole recipient of divine inspiration. This tendency likely explains the multitude of misunderstandings currently prevalent regarding the position Masonry occupies within the spiritual ethics of our species. A religion is defined as a divinely inspired moral code. A religious individual is one incited to a nobler existence by this very code. He is identified by the doctrine that serves as his source of illumination. Thus, one may posit that a Christian is an individual who derives their spiritual ideals of rectitude and transgression from the message of the Christ, whereas a Buddhist is one who shapes their existence according to the moral archetype established by the great Gautama, or another of the Buddhas. All doctrines seeking to cultivate and preserve that invisible spark within humanity, designated as spirit, are classified as spiritual. Conversely, those that disregard this unseen element to concentrate exclusively upon the visible are termed material. Within religion, there exists a profound point of equilibrium wherein the materialist and the spiritist converge upon the plane of logic and reason. Science and theology represent two poles of a singular truth. Yet, the world shall never reap the full benefit of their investigations until they have achieved reconciliation and labor in unison toward the accomplishment of the magnum opus. The liberation of spirit and intelligence from the three-dimensional sepulchres of ignorance, superstition, and fear. That which grants man self-knowledge can be inspired solely by the self, and God constitutes the self within all things. In truth, He is both the inspiration and the vessel inspired. It is recorded in Scripture that God was the Word and that the Word was made flesh. Man's present task is to render the flesh reflective of the glory of that Word, which resides within his own soul. It is this undertaking that has necessitated religion, not merely a single faith, but a multiplicity of creeds, each searching in its distinct manner, each addressing the requirements of individual temperaments, and each emphasizing one tenet above all others. 12 fellow craftsmen explore the 4 points of the compass. Are these not representative of the 12 great world religions, each seeking in its own fashion that which was lost in ages past, the quest for which constitutes man's birthright? Is not the pursuit of reality amidst a world of illusions the very task for which each soul enters this sphere? We are here to acquire equilibrium in a sphere of instability, to find repose within restlessness, to unveil illusion, and to slay the dragon of our own animalistic natures. As David, king of Israel, entrusted to his son Solomon the task he could not himself complete, so too does each generation bequeath to the next the labor of erecting the temple, or rather, rebuilding the dwelling of the Lord upon Mount Moriah. Truth is not lost, yet it must be sought and discovered. Reality is omnipresent, dimensionless, and yet all-prevailing. Man, a creature of attitudes and desires, and a servant to impressions and opinions, cannot, with the erratic instability of an untutored mind, comprehend that which he does not himself possess. As man attains a specific quality, he discovers its essence and recognizes in his surroundings that which has been newly born within himself. Man is born with eyes, yet only after long years of sorrow does he learn to perceive clearly and in harmony with the divine plan. He is endowed with senses, But only after prolonged experience and fruitless striving does he bring these faculties to the temple, laying them as offerings upon the altar of the Great Father, who alone executes all things well and with understanding. Man is, in truth, born into the sin of ignorance, yet possesses a capacity for understanding. He bears a mind capable of wisdom, a heart capable of feeling, and a hand strengthened for the great work of life, shaping the rough ashlar into the perfect stone. What more could any creature request than an opportunity, a chance to prove the essence of his being, the dream that inspires him, and the vision that propels him forward? We possess no right to request wisdom. In whose name do we supplicate for understanding? By what authority do we demand happiness? None of these attributes is the birthright of any creature, yet all may acquire them, provided they cultivate within themselves the very qualities they desire. There is no necessity for petition, nor does any deity descend to bestow upon man these desired objects. Man is granted by nature a singular gift, the privilege of labor. Through labor he acquires all knowledge. Religions are congregations of individuals gathered in the labor of learning. The world is a school. We exist here to learn, and our very presence attests to our need for instruction. Every living creature struggles to shatter the strangling bonds of limitation, that crushing narrowness which destroys vision and leaves life bereft of an ideal. Every soul is engaged in a monumental task, the labor of personal liberation from the entrenched furrows of ignorance. The world is a vast prison. Its bars are the unknown, and each remains a prisoner until, at last, he earns the right to tear these bars from their moldering sockets and pass, illuminated and inspired, into the darkness, which becomes radiant through that very presence. All peoples of the world seek the temple where God resides, where the spirit of the great truth illuminates the shadows of human ignorance. Yet, they know neither which direction to turn nor the location of this temple. The mist of dogma surrounds them. Ages of thoughtlessness confine them. Limitation debilitates them and inhibits their footsteps. They wander in darkness seeking light, ever failing to realize that the light resides within the heart of the darkness. To the few who have found him, God reveals himself. These, in turn, reveal him to mankind, striving to convey the message of wisdom to the ignorant. Yet, seldom does man comprehend the mystery that has been unveiled. He attempts feebly to follow in the footsteps of those who have attained, but all too often finds the path more arduous than he had ever conceived. Thus, he kneels in prayer before the mountain he cannot ascend, from the summit of which gleams the light he is neither strong enough to reach nor wise enough to comprehend. He lives the law as he understands it, always fearing in his depths that he has not correctly interpreted the flaming letters in the sky, and that in observing the letter of the law, he has extinguished its spirit. Man bows humbly to the unknown, populating the shadows of his own ignorance with saints and saviors, ghosts and specters, gods and demons. Ignorance fears all things and falls, terror-stricken, before the passing wind. Superstition stands as a monument to ignorance. Before it kneel those who realize their own weakness, who perceive in all things the strength they do not possess, who attribute to sticks and stones the power to inflict injury, and who distort the beauties of nature into the dwelling places of ghouls and ogres. Wisdom fears nothing, yet bows humbly to its own source. While superstition harbors hatred for all things, wisdom, with its profound understanding, loves all things, for it has perceived the beauty, tenderness, and sweetness that underlie life's mystery. Life is the span of time appointed for accomplishment. Every fleeting moment is an opportunity, and the truly great are those who have recognized life as the supreme opportunity for all endeavors. Arts, sciences, and religions are monuments representing what humanity has already achieved. They stand as memorials to the unfolding mind of man, and through their avenues, he advances toward more efficient and intelligent methods of attaining prescribed results. Blessed are those who can benefit from the experiences of others, and who can add to that which has already been constructed, rendering their inspiration real and their dreams practical. Those who provide man with his necessities are seldom appreciated in their own era, but are subsequently recognized as the saviors of the human race. Masonry is an edifice constructed of experience. Each stone represents a sequential step in the unfolding of intelligence. The shrines of Masonry are ornamented with the jewels of 1,000 ages. Its rituals resonate with the pronouncements of enlightened seers and illuminated sages. 100 religions have brought their oblations of wisdom to its altar. Unnumbered arts and sciences have contributed to its symbolism. It is more than a faith. It is a path of certainty. It is more than a belief. It is a fact. Masonry is a university, imparting the liberal arts and sciences of the soul to all who will attend to its teachings. It is a shadow of the great Atlantean Mystery School, which stood in all its magnificence within the ancient city of the Golden Gates, where now the turbulent Atlantic rolls in unbroken majesty. Its chairs are seats of learning. Its pillars uphold an arch of universal education, encompassing not only material concerns but also those qualities intrinsic to the spirit. Upon its trestle boards are inscribed the sacred truths of all peoples and nations, and for those who comprehend its sacred depths, the great reality has dawned. Masonry is, in truth, that long-lost object of search which all peoples have sought throughout the ages. Masonry is the common denominator and the common divisor of human aspiration. Most of the world's religions are processions. One leads and many follow. Treading in the footsteps of the demigods, man follows in his quest for truth and illumination. The Christian follows the gentle Nazarene up the winding slopes of Calvary. The Buddhist follows his great emancipator through his wanderings in the wilderness. The Mohammedan makes his pilgrimage across the desert sands to the Black Tent at Mecca. Truth leads and ignorance follows in its train. Spirit blazes the trail and matter follows behind. In the contemporary world, ideals live but a moment in their purity before the gathering hosts of darkness extinguish the gleaming spark. The mystery school, however, remains unmoved. It does not bring its light to man. Rather, man must bring his light to it. Ideals, upon entering the world, become idols within a few short hours. But man, entering the gates of the sanctuary, transmutes the idol back into an ideal. Man ascends an endless flight of steps, his eyes fixed toward the goal at the summit. Many cannot discern the ultimate objective, and only 1 or 2 steps are visible before them. He has learned, however, one great lesson, that as he builds his own character, he is endowed with the strength to ascend the steps. Hence, a Mason is a builder of the temple of character. He is the architect of a sublime mystery, the gleaming, glowing temple of his own soul. He realizes that he serves God best when he joins with the great architect in erecting nobler structures in the universe below. All who attempt to attain mastery through constructive effort are Masons at heart, regardless of sect or religious belief. A Mason is not necessarily a member of a lodge. He is any person who strives daily to live the Masonic life and to serve intelligently the needs of the great architect. The Masonic brother pledges himself to assist all other temple builders in whatever extremity life may unfold. In so doing, he pledges himself to every stick and stone, to beast, God, and man, for all are temple builders, erecting nobler shrines wherein to worship the universal God. The Masonic Lodge is a mystery school, a place where candidates are removed from the follies and foibles of the world and instructed in the mysteries of life, relationships, and the identity of that germ of spiritual essence within them, which is, in truth, the Son of God, beloved of his Father. The Mason views life with gravity, realizing that every wasted moment is a lost opportunity, and that omnipotence is attained only through earnestness and endeavor. Above all other relationships, he recognizes the universal brotherhood of living things. The clasped hands of his lodge reflect his attitude toward the entire world, for he is the comrade of all creation. He realizes, too, that his spirit is a glowing, gleaming jewel which he must enshrine within a holy temple constructed by the labor of his hands, the meditations of his heart, and the aspiration of his soul. Masonry is a religion that is essentially creedless. It is the truer for it. Its brothers bow to truth regardless of the bearer. They serve the light, rather than wrangling over the one who brings it. In this manner, they demonstrate that they seek to better know the will and the dictates of the Invincible One. No truer religion exists in all the world than that of all creatures gathering in comradeship and brotherhood for the purpose of glorifying one God, and of building for him a temple of constructive attitude and noble character. The average Mason, as well as the modern student of Masonic ideals, little realizes or understands the cosmic obligation he assumes when he initiates his search for the sacred truths of nature as they are concealed within ancient and modern rituals. He must not consider his vows lightly, if he would avoid bringing upon himself years and ages of suffering. He must cease to regard Masonry as merely a social or fraternal order. He must realize that the mystic teachings, as perpetuated in the modern rites, are sacred, and that powers unseen and unrecognized mold the destiny of those who, consciously and of their own free will, assume the obligations of the craft. Masonry is not a material entity. It is a science of the soul. It is not a creed or doctrine, but a universal expression of the divine wisdom. The assembly of English guilds, or even the construction of Solomon's Temple, as understood today, has little, if anything, to do with the true origin of Masonry, for Masonry does not concern itself with personalities. It is neither historical nor archaeological, but is a divine symbolic language perpetuating, under certain concrete symbols, the divine mysteries of the ancients. Only those who perceive in it a cosmic study, a life work, and a spiritual inspiration toward better thinking, living, and acting with spiritual enlightenment as the end and the daily life of the true Mason as the means, have gained even the slightest insight into the true mysteries of the ancient and accepted rite. The antiquity of the Masonic school is not to be calculated by hundreds or even thousands of years, for it never possessed an origin in the worlds of form. The world, as we perceive it, is merely an experimental laboratory in which man labors to build and express greater and more perfect vehicles. Into this laboratory pour thousands and millions of rays descending from the cosmic hierarchies. These mighty globes and orbs, which focus their energies upon mankind and mold his destiny, do so in an orderly manner each in its own way and place. It is the working of these mystic hierarchies in the universe that forms the pattern upon which the Masonic school has been built, for the true lodge of the Mason is the universe itself. Creedless and religionless he stands, a master of all faiths. Those who undertake the study of Masonry without realizing the depth, beauty, and spiritual power of the subject they analyze can never derive anything of permanence from their studies. The age of the mystery schools can be traced by the true student back to the dawn of time hundreds of millions, indeed billions of years ago, when the temple of the solar man was in the making. That was the first temple of the king. There, in the dawn of time, the true mysteries of the ancient lodge were given and established, and it was the gods of creation and the spirits of the dawn who first tiled the master's lodge. The initiated brother realizes that his so-called symbols and rituals are merely blinds constructed by the wise to perpetuate ideas incomprehensible to the average individual. He further perceives that few among the Masons of today comprehend or appreciate the mystic significance concealed within these rituals. With quasi-religious fidelity we perpetuate the outer form, venerating the vessel rather than the life it contains. Yet those who fail to glean the truth from the crystallized ritual, those who have not emancipated the spiritual germ from its husk of hollow verbiage, are not truly Masons, irrespective of their physical degrees. In the present undertaking, it is not our intent to dwell upon modern conceptions of the craft, but rather to contemplate Masonry as it truly exists for the initiated. A vast cosmic organism wherein true brethren are bound not by spoken oaths, but by lives lived with such purity that they may pierce the veil of opacity and unseal the window currently obscured by the debris of materiality. When this is achieved and the universal mysteries unfurl before the aspirant, he discovers the veritable nature of Masonry. Its material aspects cease to captivate him, for he has unveiled the mystery school, an institution he can recognize only after he has, in spirit, become a member thereof. Among those who have scrutinized its ancient lore, there remains no doubt that Masonry, like the universe itself, that greatest of all academies, concerns the unfolding of a threefold principle. For the entire cosmos is governed by those same three kings designated as the builders of the Masonic temple. These are not personalities, but principles, great intelligent energies and powers that, within God, man, and the universe, command the molding of cosmic substance into the habitation of the living king. This is the temple constructed through eons of effort, first unconscious, then conscious, by every individual who manifests the creative principles of the three kings in his daily existence. The true brother of the ancient craft understood that completing the temple he raised to the King of the universe was a duty, or rather a privilege owed to his God, his fellow man, and himself. He knew that specific measures were required and that his temple must be erected in accordance with the design. Yet today it appears the plan is lost, for in most instances Masonry has ceased to be operative, reduced instead to a speculative concept. It must remain so until each brother, interpreting the mystery of his symbols and contemplating the exquisite allegories of his ritual, realizes that he holds within himself the keys and plans so long missing from the craft. He must comprehend that to truly learn Masonry, he must unlock its portals with a key forged from the base metals of his own nature. True Masonry is esoteric. It is not of this world. All that exists here is a nexus, a threshold, through which the student may pass into the unknown. It concerns itself with form only insofar as it acknowledges that form is molded by, and manifests, the life it houses. The student seeks to shape his life so that the form may glorify the God within, that temple he slowly constructs as he awakens, one by one, the internal workmen, assigning them to execute the plan bestowed upon him from heaven. As far as can be ascertained, ancient Masonry and the sublime cosmic allegories it imparts, perpetuated through countless lodges and ancient rites, constitute the oldest of the mystery schools. Its preservation through the ages has depended not upon its exoteric body of partially evolved individuals, but upon a concealed brotherhood, the esoteric aspect of Masonry. All great mystery schools possess hierarchies upon the spiritual planes of nature, which express themselves in this world through various creeds and organizations. The true student seeks to elevate himself spiritually from the exoteric body until he joins that esoteric group which, though lacking a lodge on the physical plane, is far greater than all the earthly lodges of which it is the central fire. These spiritual instructors of humanity are compelled to labor in the concrete realm using concepts intelligible to the concrete mind. Yet, the meaning of the allegories and symbols surrounding man's exoteric work is revealed to him the moment he prepares himself to receive it. The true Mason recognizes that the work of the mystery schools is inclusive rather than exclusive. He understands that the only lodge vast enough to embody his ideals is that which claims the heavens as its dome, the corners of creation as its pillars, the crossing currents of human emotion as its checkered floor, and the human heart as its altar. Dogmatic creeds cannot bind the genuine seeker of truth. The Mason, perceiving the unity of all truth, realizes that the hierarchies laboring alongside him have bestowed upon him, through his varying degrees, the mystic and spiritual rituals of all the world's mystery schools. If he is to fulfill his role in the divine plan, he must not enter this sacred study seeking what he may extract, but rather to learn how he may contribute more profoundly. Masonry conceals within itself the mystery of creation, the solution to the riddle of existence, and the path the student must tread to join those who are the veritable living powers behind the thrones of national and international affairs. Above all, the true student understands that the conferral of degrees does not make a man a Mason. A Mason is not appointed. He is evolved. He must realize that his rank in the exoteric lodge signifies nothing compared to his standing in the spiritual lodge of life. He must forever banish the notion that he can be passively instructed in the sacred mysteries, or that mere membership in an organization confers improvement. He must recognize that his duty is to construct and evolve the sacred teachings within his own nature, that nothing but his own purified being can unlock the sealed libraries of human consciousness, and that his Masonic rites must remain eternally speculative until he renders them operative by living the life of the mystic Mason. His karmic responsibilities increase in proportion to his opportunities. Those surrounded by knowledge and the potential for self-improvement, yet who make nothing of these advantages, are the slothful workmen who shall be cast out, spiritually if not physically, from the king's temple. The Masonic order is not a social club. Rather, it is truly composed of those who have united to learn and apply the principles of mysticism and occult rites. They are, or ought to be, philosophers, sages, and sober-minded individuals who have dedicated themselves upon the living altar of the gods, vowing by all they hold sacred that the world shall be better, wiser, and happier for their existence. Those who enter these mystic rites and pass between the pillars seeking prestige or commercial advantage are blasphemers. While the world may deem them successful, they are cosmic failures who have barred themselves from the true rite, a rite whose keynote is selflessness and whose laborers have renounced earthly attachments. In ancient times, many years of preparation were requisite before the neophyte was permitted to enter the temple of the mysteries. Thus, The shallow, the curiosity seekers, the faint of heart, and those unable to withstand life's temptations were not selected. Rather, they automatically withdrew from a cost they were unwilling to bear. He who did pass between the pillars entered the temple fully cognizant of his sublime opportunity, his divine obligation, and the mystic privilege he had earned through years of dedicated preparation. True Masons are solely those who enter their temple with reverence, seeking not the ephemeral trifles of life but rather eternal treasures. Their singular desire is to comprehend the genuine mystery of the craft, that they may join, as upright artificers, those predecessors who have labored as builders of the universal temple. The Masonic ritual constitutes not merely a ceremony, but a life to be enacted. Those who are genuinely Masons have consecrated their lives and souls upon the altar of the living flame, finding contentment in laboring toward the construction of that single universal edifice wherein they serve as workmen and their God as the living architect. When such Masons exist, the craft shall once again become operative. The flaming triangle shall shine forth with heightened radiance. The dead builder shall rise from his tomb, and the lost word, so long concealed from the profane, shall blaze forth anew with the power to renovate all things. In the ensuing pages, numerous reflections have been recorded for the study and consideration of temple builders, craftsmen, and artisans alike. These serve as keys which, if merely perused, will leave the student remaining in ignorance. Yet, if embodied in life, they will transmute the speculative masonry of the present into the operative masonry of the future. In that era, each builder, realizing his proper station, shall perceive realities never before witnessed, not due to their prior absence, but because he was previously blind. Indeed, there are none so blind as those who refuse to see. The Emerald Tablet of Hermes. The Emerald Tablet, the most ancient monument of the Chaldeans concerning the lapis philosophoram, philosopher's stone. The Emerald Tablet of Hermes, illustrated upon the opposite page, introduces King Hiram, the hero of Masonic legend. The name Hiram is derived from the Chaldean Chiram or Hiram. The initial two prominent words signify the secret work. The second line, in large characters, denotes Chiram or Hiram, the universal agent, one in essence yet threefold in aspect. Translated, the body of the tablet reads as follows: It is true and no lie, certain and entirely reliable, that the superior agrees with the inferior, and the inferior with the superior, to effect that single, truly miraculous work. Just as all things derive their existence from the will of the only one, so too do all things owe their origin to the only one thing, the most concealed, by the arrangement of the only God. The father of that only one thing is the sun, its mother is the moon. The wind bears it upon its wings, yet its nurse is a spiritual earth. That only one thing is the father of all things in the universe. Its power is perfected after it has been united with a spiritual earth. Separate that spiritual earth from the dense or crude earth by means of gentle heat, with great care. It ascends from earth into heaven in great measure, and descends again newborn upon the earth, whereby the superior and the inferior are increased in power. By this means, thou needst partake of the honors of the whole earth, and darkness shall flee from thee. This is the strength of all powers. With this, thou needst be able to surmount all things and to transmute all that is fine and all that is coarse. In this manner was the world created, though the arrangements that follow this path remain hidden. For this reason I am called Chiram, the universal agent, one in essence but three in aspect. In this trinity lies concealed the wisdom of the whole world. It is concluded now, that which I have spoken concerning the effect of the sun. End of the Emerald Tablet. In a rare, unpublished ancient manuscript concerning early Masonic and Hermetic mysteries, we discover the following information regarding the mysterious universal agent referred to as Chiram. The purport of this Emerald Tablet serves to sufficiently convince us that the author was intimately acquainted with the secret operations of nature and with the secret work of the philosophers. He likewise possessed full knowledge of and belief in the true God. It has been believed for several ages that Cham, one of the sons of Noah, is the author of this monument of antiquity. A very ancient author, whose name is unknown and who lived several centuries before Christ, mentions this tablet. He states that he had viewed it in Egypt at the court and that it was a precious stone, an emerald, whereon these characters were represented in bas-relief, rather than engraved. He asserts that it was esteemed in his time to be over 2,000 years old, and that the substance of this emerald had once been in a fluid state akin to molten glass, cast in a mold. To this flux the artist had imparted the hardness of a natural and genuine emerald through artifice. The Canaanites were termed Phoenicians by the Greeks, who have informed us that they claimed Hermes as one of their kings. There exists a profound correspondence between Chiram and Hermes. Chiram is a term composed of 3 words, denoting the universal spirit, the essence of which the entire creation consists, and the object of Chaldean, Egyptian, and genuine natural philosophy, according to its intrinsic principles or properties. The 3 Hebrew words chama, rauch, and magim signify, respectively, fire, air, and water. Their initial consonants, ch, r, and m, yield Chiram. This constitutes that invisible essence which is the father of earth, fire, air, and water. For although immaterial in its own invisible nature, like unmoved electrical fire, when moved, it becomes light and visible. When collected and agitated, it becomes heat and visible, tangible fire, and when associated with humidity, it becomes material. The word Chiram has been metamorphosed into Hermes and also into Herman. Furthermore, the translators of the Bible have rendered Chiram by substituting he for chet, as both of these Hebrew word signs are quite similar. In the ancient term hermaphrodite, a word invented by the philosophers, we find Hermes changed to Herm, signifying Chiram or the universal agent, and Aphrodite, the passive principle of humidity, who is also identified as Venus and is said to have been produced and generated by the sea. We also read that Hiram, or the universal agent, assisted King Solomon in building the temple. Doubtless, as Solomon possessed wisdom, he understood how to employ the corporealized universal agent. The Talmud of the Jews states that King Solomon built the temple with the assistance of Shamar. This word signifies the sun as the great mechanism which perpetually collects the omnipresent, surrounding electrical fire, or spiritus mundi, and transmits it constantly to us via the planets in a visible manner termed light. This electrical flame, corporealized and regenerated into the stone of the philosophers, enabled King Solomon to produce the immense quantities of gold and silver employed to construct and decorate his temple. These ancient paragraphs from an elder philosopher may assist the Masonic student of today in realizing the tremendous and unimagined reservoir of knowledge that lies behind the allegory, which he often hears but seldom analyzes. Hiram, the universal agent, might be translated as Vita, the power eternally building and unfolding the bodies of man. The use and abuse of energy constitutes the key to the Masonic legend. In fact, it is the key to all things in nature. Furthermore, Hiram, as the triple energy, one in source yet three in aspect, might well be termed ether, that unknown hypothetical element which conveys the impulses of the gods through the macrocosmic nervous system of the infinite. Hermes, or Mercury, was the messenger of the gods, and ether bears impulse upon its wings. The resolution of the mystery of ether, or, if one prefers to designate it as such, vibrant space, remains the great problem of Masonry. This ether, as a hypothetical medium, conveys energy to the three bodies of thought, emotion, and action. In this manner, Chiram, the one in essence, becomes three in aspect: mental, emotional, and vital. The ensuing work represents an endeavor to illuminate other forgotten and neglected elements of the Masonic rites, and to emphasize the spirit of Hiram as the universal agent. Masonry is essentially mysterious, ritualistic, and ceremonial. Yet, these tangible forms serve merely as representations of abstract truth. The earth-smothering energy constitutes the mystery underlying the murder of the builder. Spiritual imperatives for the builder. Remember now thy Creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them, while the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain. In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened, and the doors shall be shut in the streets, when the sound of the grinding is low, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. Also when they shall be afraid of that which is high, and fears shall be in the way, and the almond tree shall flourish, and the grasshopper shall be a burden, and desire shall fail, because man goeth to his long home, and the mourners go about the streets. Or ever the silver cord be loosed, or the golden bowl be broken at the fountain, or the wheel broken at the cistern. Then shall the dust return to the earth as it was, and the spirit shall return unto God who gave it. Ecclesiastes 12 verses 1-7. Temple builders. You stand as the temple builders of the future. By your hands, the domes and spires of a coming civilization must be erected. Upon the foundation you have established, tomorrow shall construct a far nobler edifice. Builders of the temple of character, wherein an enlightened spirit should dwell, hewers of the rock of relationship, molders of those vessels fashioned to contain the oil of life, arise and attend to the tasks appointed. Never before in human history has such an opportunity confronted you. The world awaits. It waits for the illuminated one who shall emerge from between the pillars of the portico. Hoodwinked and bound, humanity seeks entrance to the temple of wisdom. Fling wide the gate, and allow the worthy to enter. Fling wide the gate, and let the light shine forth, for that light constitutes the life of men. Hasten to complete the dwelling of the Lord, that the Spirit of God may descend and reside among his people, sanctified and ordained according to his law. Prologue. In the fields of chaos. The initial flush of awakening life thrilled and gleamed through the darkness of the cosmic night, transforming the obscurity of negation into the dim twilight of unfolding being, and casting its faint, glimmering rays over a strange form standing solitary upon the cloudy banks of swirling substances. Robed in the shimmering blue vapor of mystery, his head encircled by a golden crown of flaming light, a mystic stranger stood there. His divine form was shrouded in the folds of chaos, the darkness of which fled before the rays pouring like streams of living fire from his gigantic, misty figure, silhouetted in faint relief against the shadowed gateways of eternity. From a cosmos far greater than our own, this mystic visitor arrived, answering the call of divinity. From star to star he strode, and from world to universe he was known, yet remained forever concealed by the filmy garments of chaotic night. Suddenly, the clouds parted, and a wondrous light descended from somewhere amidst the seething waves of force. It bathed this lonely form in celestial radiance, each sparkling crystal of mist gleaming like a diamond immersed in the living fire of the divine. Two majestic forms appeared within the gleaming flame of cosmic light, bordered by the dark clouds of not being, and a mighty voice thrilled through eternity, each sparkling atom dancing, swaying, and swirling with the power of the Creator's word. Meanwhile, the great, blue-robed figure bowed in awe before the footstool of his Maker, and a great hand reached down from heaven, its fingers extended in benediction. Of all creation, I have chosen you, and upon you my seal is placed. You are the chosen instrument of my hand, and I select you to be the builder of my temple. You shall raise its pillars and tile its floor. You shall ornament it with metals and jewels, and you shall be the master of my workmen. Into your hands I place the plans, and here, on the tracing board of living substance, I impress the design you are to follow, tracing every letter and angle in the fiery lines of my moving finger. Hiram Abiff, chosen builder of your father's house, arise and attend to your work. Yonder lie the fleecy clouds, the gray mist of dawn, the gleams of heavenly light, and the darkness of the sleep of creation. From these shall you build, without the sound of hammers or the voice of workmen, the temple of your God, eternal in the heavens. The swirling, ceaseless motion of negation you shall chain to grind your stones. Among these spirits of not being shall you slake your lime and lay your footings. For I have watched you through the years of your youth, and I have guided you through the days of your manhood. I have weighed you in the balance, and you have not been found wanting. Therefore, to you I give the glory of work, and here ordain you as the builder of my house. Unto you I give the word of the master builder. Unto you I give the tools of the craft. Unto you I give the power that has been vested in me. Be faithful unto these things. Bring them back when you have finished, and I will give you the name known to God alone. So mote it be. The great light faded from the heavens. The streaming fingers of living radiance vanished through the misty, lonely twilight, and the sable mantle again covered not being. Hiram once more stood alone, gazing out into the endless ocean of oblivion. Nothing but swirling, seething matter as far as the eye could see. Then, rising, he straightened his shoulders. Taking the trestle board in his hands and clasping to his heart the word of the Master, which sparkled and gleamed in the darkness of the night, Hiram Abiff slowly walked out over the clouds and vanished through the mist, which swallowed up even the glowing spark of the Master's word. How may man measure timeless eternity? Ages passed, and the lonely builder labored upon his plan with only love and humility in his heart, his hand molding the darkness which he blessed, while his eyes were raised to where the great light had shone down from heaven. In that divine solitude he labored with no voice to cheer, no spirit to condemn. Alone in the boundless all, with the great chill of the morning mist upon his brow, yet his heart still warm with the light of the Master's word. It seemed a hopeless battle. No single pair of hands could mold that darkness. No single heart, however true, could be great enough to send the pulsing cosmic love into the cold mist of oblivion. The darkness settled ever closer about him, the misty fingers of negation twining around his being. Yet, with divine trust, the builder labored. With divine hope, he laid his footings, and from the boundless clay, he fashioned the molds to cast his sacred ornaments. Slowly the building grew, and dim forms molded by the master's hand took shape about him. 3 great, soulless creatures had the master fashioned, immense, towering beings that appeared in the half-darkness like grim specters. They were 3 builders he had blessed, and now, in stately file, they passed before him. Hiram held out his arms to his creation, saying, "Brothers, I have built you for your works. I have formed you to labor with me in the building of the Master's house. You are the children of my being. I have labored with you, now labor with me for the glory of our God." But the specters laughed and turned upon their Maker. Striking him with his own tools, given to him by God out of heaven, they left their grand master dying in the midst of his labors, broken and crushed by the threefold powers of cosmic night. As he lay bleeding at the base of his own handiwork, the martyred builder lifted his gaze toward the tumultuous clouds. His countenance, suffused with divine love and cosmic understanding, remained serene as he offered a prayer to the Master who had commissioned his journey. "O Master of workmen, great architect of the universe, my labors remain unfinished. Why must they forever lie incomplete? I have not achieved the purpose for which thou summoned me into existence, for my very creations have turned against me, and the instruments thou bestowed upon me have wrought my destruction. The children I fashioned in love have, in their ignorance, slain me. Behold, Father, the word thou entrusted to me, now stained crimson with my lifeblood. O Master, I return it unto thee, for I have preserved it sacred within my heart. Here lie the tools, the tracing board, and the vessels I have crafted. Surrounded by the ruins of the temple I must now depart. I surrender them all unto thee, O God, the divine knower of all things, realizing that the fulfillment of all endeavors rests within thy proper time. Thou, O God, knowest our down-sitting and our uprising, and thou understandest our thoughts from afar. In thy name, Father, I have labored, and in thy cause, I die a faithful builder." The Master fell back, his upturned face serene in the final repose of death, the rays of light no longer emanating from him. The gray clouds coalesced, seemingly to weave a shroud about the body of their murdered lord. Suddenly, the heavens parted once more. A brilliant radiance descended as a sparkling ray, enveloping the form of Hiram in celestial light. Then the voice spoke again from the firmament, where the great king sat enthroned above the clouds of creation. "He is not dead, he but sleeps. Who shall awaken him? His labors are not concluded, and in death, he guards the sacred relics more vigilantly than ever, for the word and the tracing board remain his own. I have bestowed them upon him. Yet he must remain in slumber until the 3 who slew him shall restore him to life. For every wrong must be redressed, and the assassins of my house, the destroyers of my temple, must labor in the stead of their builder until they raise their master from the dead." The 3 murderers fell to their knees, raising their hands to heaven as if to ward off the light that exposed their crime. "O God, great is our sin, for we have slain our grand master, Hiram Abiff. Just is thy punishment, As we have slain him, so do we now dedicate our lives to his resurrection. The former was our human weakness, the latter is our sacred duty. So be it, answered the voice from heaven. The great light vanished, and clouds of darkness and mist obscured the body of the murdered master. It was engulfed by the gloom, which, swirling and undulating, left no trace nor headstone to mark the place where the builder had lain. "O God," cried the three murderers, "where shall we find our master now?" A hand reached down once more from the great unseen, bestowing upon them a small lamp, the oil flame of which burned silently and clearly in the gloom. "By this light which I have given ye, shall ye seek him whom ye have slain." The three figures encircled the light, bowing in prayer and thanksgiving for this solitary gleam destined to illuminate the darkness of their path. From somewhere above, in the regions of not being, the great voice spoke, a thundering resonance that filled chaos with its sound. "He cometh forth as a flower and is cut down. He fleeth also as a shadow and continueth not. As the waters fail from the sea, and the flood decayeth and drieth up, so man leeth down and riseth not again. Yet I have compassion upon the children of my creation. I minister unto them in times of tribulation, and redeem them with an everlasting salvation. Seek ye where the broken twig lies, where the dead wood decays, where the clouds converge, and where the stones rest by the hillside. For all these mark the grave of Hiram, who has borne my will with him to the tomb. This eternal quest is yours until ye have discovered your builder, until the cup yields its secret, and until the grave surrenders its ghosts. I shall speak to ye no more until ye have found and raised my beloved Son. Listen to the words of my messenger, and, with him as your guide, completed the temple which I shall then inhabit. Amen. The gray dawn still slumbered in the embrace of darkness. Out through the great mystery of non-being, all was silence, unknowable. Through the misty daybreak, like strange phantoms of a dream, three figures wandered across the great unknown, bearing in their hands a tiny light, the lamp granted to them by the Father of their builder. They roamed eternally in search of a silent grave. Over stick and stone, cloud and star they wandered, pausing repeatedly to explore the depths of some mystic recess, praying for liberation from their endless quest, yet bound by eternal vows to raise the builder they had slain. He whose grave was marked by the broken twig, and whose body lay within the white shroud of death somewhere beyond the brow of the eternal hill. Motive. What motive leads the Masonic candidate out of the mundane world and up the winding stairway toward the light? He alone can truly know, for the impetus of his works is concealed within his heart. Is he seeking the light of the East? Is he in pursuit of eternal wisdom? Does he bring his life to offer it upon the altar of the Most High? Of all attributes, motive is paramount. Though we may fail repeatedly, if our intent be true, we are victorious. Though we may succeed time and again, if our motive be unworthy, we have failed. Enter the temple with reverence, for it is in truth the dwelling place of a great spirit, the spirit of Masonry. Masonry is an ordainer of kings. Its hand has shaped the destinies of worlds, and the perfect fruit of its discipline is an honest man. What nobler achievement exists than the illumination of ignorance? What greater task than the joyous labor of service? And what nobler man can there be than the Mason who serves his lights, and is himself a light unto his fellow men? Chapter 1. The Candidate. There comes a time in the individual development of every living entity when it realizes with dawning consciousness that it is a prisoner. While apparently free to move and exist, the struggling life perceives, through ever-expanding vehicles, its own limitations. It is at this juncture that man cries out with increasing fervor to be liberated. Do you want access to this and all the complete audiobooks on the channel, plus the ebook version? Click the link in the description or scan the QR code in the left corner of the screen to access our library, where you can listen to your favorite esoteric books without ad interruptions, lock your screen, or use other apps while the narration plays, and even download the ebook version to follow along as you listen. Listen on your computer via web browser, or download the app from the Play Store. After subscribing, you will receive an email with your login details, password, and step-by-step instructions on how to access the books through the Hotmart app.